Sunday, everyone. Welcome. Happy Sunday, everyone. This is Viperstrike 95 here, and today, welcome to leg 2 of this incredible journey here. We're doing the 1926 Berlin to Beijing flight done by Lufthansa in 1926, and this is leg 2 here in Kaliningrad Duval Airport, located in Kaliningrad, Russia. And this would be really interesting here today. I want to say hello to everyone. Yes, the morning is kind of foggy and all that, but that is the weather condition here for today. And I'm so happy to be here with all of you guys again. As we first look into the chat, Leo Professi, hey, I just saw you on a whisper. You've got Microsoft Flight Sim. Finally, it's great to see you, and I'm very happy I got to help you out with the Flight Sim stuff. Thank you. He would say, "Hi, Viper, good to see you." He says, "Now this would be a flight." It is going to be quite a bit of a flight. I see Floor Drix in the chat says, really foggy today in the sim over the UK. Yeah, it's foggy, and today is going to be no different here. Stumble Across is in the chat. Thank you. Nice to see you here, Stumble Across. Martel172. Good to see you, Martel. Nice to see you again. So this here is, we're going to go over the leg 2 of the trip. We're going to open up our nav map for a bit. So leg 2 of our trip, we're going to take off here from Kaliningrad Duval Airport. We're going to go 78 degrees heading, 115 nautical miles, to Kaunas, the second largest city in all of Lithuania. During that time, it was actually the capital of Lithuania during this time. Then they fly 37 nautical miles into this direction. We'll be past a few locations, including Ukmergė in Lithuania. Then we go across the border to Latvia. We'll be visiting through Latvia. Then we go all the way through Belarus. We go from here to Belarus, and then we land here at Smolensk in Russia. This would be 424 nautical miles. This would be quite a long trip, especially for the Junkers, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Thank you. I'm just trying to figure out how you go online. If you want to go online with it, you need to check your multiplayer settings. But actually, Leo, you know what? I know I can find the link for it. Tuto Murphy actually has a video. Let me go find the link for it. I think he has. I'm gonna double check. There. Let me give you a whisper, Leo. This video is from Tuto Murphy, and he shows you how to actually do multiplayer. So he'll go through and all the steps. Just did it to help you out. Nice to see you, Knights Up. So we're going to go down to the ground, and we're going to see the Ju-52 here. I want to make sure I'm on the right server. I need to change back. I was on West. So this here is my Junkers Ju-52. However, there are two changes on this Junkers. First, I got the proper tail number. It's now D903, one of the 2 points used for the trip. The other change, and this was something Stumble Across worked on, and It's right here. It says Lufthansa, Berlin to Peking, July 1926. He worked on that, and it looks really, really good. This is what I'm going to be using for the rest of the trip, and it looks really, really nice. Absolutely incredible. So we're going to get back to the cockpit here. We're going to get this Ju-52 started. Again, we're going to turn, we're just going to go again, idle, check, check. Ooh, shiny. It is nice and shiny. Stumble across, you did an amazing job for it. Thank you. It's already both. Fuel quantity is good. I filled it up to max, so we don't have to worry about it. I'm gonna go ahead and do sorry mix. Yeah, Lufthansa was 2 words and they changed it. That's correct. That's correct, Stumble Across. So go ahead and do that. Get that started. That's done. That's done. Now we close the wobble pump. That is completed. Now we start engine 2. I've already done that. That's already been completed. I got that ahead. We turn on the fuel pump. Manual caps open. Manual switch is done. That's completed. Pull this. Once it just starts, put this. Turn off fuel pump. And primer are both off. Now we can just turn on the lights. I also need to turn on the normal lights, so we need to go back here. Back, let's turn on these lights. Strobe lights on, beacon lights, nav lights. We need those lights on because we're going to be in the fog, so... And I think everything's perfectly good. I think we're ready to take off. So, if we go back to our nav map, we should be able to, for our plane, we need to take off here at runway 01. So, we're gonna go take off from runway 01. So if you're wondering why today is so foggy and such, well, this is a continuation of last week's flight, and that flight was all rain and fog. So this is just my continuation of it. Well, my apologies. Need to get this thing back in the runway. This is pretty great with Woodrick's Count Zep. Okay. So I need to set my heading. We're going to be heading 78. And we're off. What weather preset have I set it to? I set it to rain is my weather preset. I just moved the clouds a little bit so it'd still be hard to see. But I can still see a little bit. So that's my weather preset. So we're going to go ahead and take off here. So everyone else is in the air. Nice. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the autopilot. We're going to go do our heading. I'm going to raise the trim. Okay. Still keeping the heading. We're going to keep the heading to 78 degrees. We should be able to be safe, and we will be on our way. So we're heading through the Kaliningrad Oblast. It would definitely be difficult to see. I could always just change the cloud settings. I didn't know how strong the fog was, so that's why I had to readjust the settings. So definitely a very interesting thing as well. We have Count Zep stumble across Floydrix and Martel 738 behind us. So this one will be pretty interesting. As well, yeah, it's still raining here today. So for our safe altitude, we could actually get to 1,500 feet. So, like I said, we're not going to be very high. So, there are some time stuff I'm considering as well. Hey, Splasher 6, good to see. Oh, that's good to see you, Splasher 6. Welcome, Splasher. Good to see you here. And Goblin Zeus, great to see you both in the chat. So, Splasher 6, congrats on doing your next leg of your cadet train series. So if you haven't got a chance to check out Splasher 6, he's doing flights. He's doing his Pan American flights on Mondays or Tuesdays, depending on schedules. He has his Friday fun flights later at night. or really early in the morning for those in Europe. And on Saturday, he does his own cadet train series, in which his father was actually a World War II B-17 pilot, and he's recreating his father's training and such. So please check out Splasher6, and he's an excellent friend to the channel. So give Splasher6 a follow. I think he's earned it. I just reset the time so it would match the real. So we should get to Lithuania in about 7:30. If not, I could just reschedule the time. So we're just going through the rest of the Oblast. Mm. So definitely very interesting. We still have to go through the rain. We're gonna get this between this and Kanuna's airport is going to be 115 nautical miles. So basically, this is going to be taking a little bit, about an hour, I believe. But yeah, this is pretty nice. Lithuania is looking quite nice. The Oblast is kind of nice. I'm very excited to get into the interior of Russia for a bit. So I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know Alison Johnson did her amazing flight again. She did Lee Mary Heath's tour of the UK. It's a bit shortened, but I know Alison Johnson did an amazing job with it. She was so good during that flight. So that was what happened this weekend. And then what the other thing that really happened this weekend was exciting is I actually got the SimWorks Studio Kodiak. That thing is really really fun. They did an amazing job with it. Like they nailed it. For the Kodiak. The detail on that plane is there's so much detail. It flies really well. They knocked it out of the park with the Kodiak. Love it. I'll definitely take it for the next Wednesday flight. But I still need more time to get used to it, though. So there's that. So basically, there's not much for me going on. I know next week is Chris. On next Saturday's Christmas though, so we're gonna get our Christmas stuff today for next week. We have lost Yonkers. What happened? What happened now? Did, oh, that cannot be good, you know. So we should get by the Lithuanian border by 7:30. So this here, we continue to go through the Konigsberg Oblast. My plane died on me. Oh no. Oh no. That just stinks. That's for sure. So the Kaliningrad, now we're going through the rest of the Kaliningrad Oblast. So so this this Oblast has a population of 941,873 people. That is 56 out of the 85 federal subjects of Russia in population. Um, this oblast is bordered by Poland to the south, Lithuania to the north and east, and the Baltic Sea to the west. And due to all that, it's impossible to travel between the oblast and the main contiguous portion of Russia without having to go through two different countries. As a result, and this entire oblast was acquired by the Russians after World War II. And after the migration and expulsion of the Germans in that territory, the populations now mainly consist of Russians. Only very few Germans remain in the area. Back in the old Middle Ages, this area used to be inhabited by the Old Prussians, which are one of the old Baltic tribes. We're going to be visiting the other Baltic tribe countries in Lithuania and Latvia. So we will be visiting those today as well. This area was once owned by the Teutonic Order. And it was in a monastic state. And then this area became later the Duchy of Prussia. And that area merged with Brandenburg, and that formed the mighty Kingdom of Prussia. And that Kingdom of Prussia later became, well, the German state that unified all of Germany. So definitely a very interesting area to talk about its history a bit. Hey, Okandu, good to see you. Nice to see you, Okandu. Good to see you. Yeah, this is the Junkers. An amazing plane. Now, I'm gonna give a shout out to Okandu. He is one of the best bush pilots of content creators. He's an amazing bush pilot. He's fun. He's a great content creator as well. He's a bush pilot till he dies. So I'm gonna give him a shout out to him. Thank you for coming to my channel, into my stream. So thank you so much. So in fact, I'm not alone on this trip. Oh man, thanks. I mean, I appreciate that. No worries. No, thank you for being a great content creator. Bush or bust. Yep. And technically, we are doing bush flying in the Junkers. It's like we're not very high off the ground either. Yeah, we're just traveling through Russia. We're heading to Kaunas and Lithuania. And then we're going to Latvia, Belarus, and finally end up in Smolensk in Russia. So that's what we're going to be doing today. It is really, really foggy as well. But yeah, this plane though is epic. Yeah, this, like I said, J52 with all those amazing engines is epic. And again, if you guys haven't taken a look, this is a guy named Stone Cross who's on the Discord, and he made this amazing graphic It is absolutely incredible. He did an amazing job, and this thing looks amazing. And I got the proper tail number. How fast we're going at the moment? I am going 123 knots, true airspeed apparently. My indicated airspeed is going to be 111 airspeed. So I could decrease speed further. I'll get better. I can't get out of the ground without flipping. Which is a good plane to pick for this. How do you get the 747? You actually, you already got the Cessna 40s. How did you get the 747? You get it in, since you got the Premium Deluxe, you already have it. And such. The Cessna, I want to fly that. The Cessna gets so much turbulence. If you have the base edition of the game, Leo, you should get the plane automatically. Because it comes to default, so you just have to set up your throttles and such like that. But it's already in the default edition of the game. Check it out time. Wow, we got 13 people in this chat. This is awesome. So anyone who's new in the chat, good to see everyone here, both new and old. So we're doing the Berlin to Beijing recreation flight that Dutch Lufthansa did in 1926 in the beautiful Junkers Ju-52. I'm just behind in the Junkers. Let me get back to my showcase. Ah, there you are, there you are, Goblin. There you are. I see you. There's Zep, Druid, Voidrick, Stella Cross, Immortel. Good to see all of y'all here. Right now, it's going super fast because remember this thing was significantly faster than the G24, so I have to be careful with the speed a little. Berlin seems really cool. Yeah, Berlin's got lots of landmarks, especially after the World Update 6. And by the way, I recommend you get the World Updates, as it will let you have, they added tons of new landmarks and such and photogrammetry areas. But yeah, Berlin's got a lot of unique things, and it's got the Brandenburg Gate, the Reichstag, it's got the Olympia Stadium, the Berlin Television Tower, all really iconic landmarks of Berlin. And of course, there's also the iconic Berlin Tempelhof Airport that's now been turned into a park. But during its heyday, Berlin had Tempelhof, and that was one of the world's most iconic airports. Especially the pre-World War II era. It was such an icon of that era. Yeah, it is. In fact, let me show you something. And this is what I usually work on for the series. I got some pictures and stuff. This is what I was showing you what I did. This is what my take on Berlin looks like. So there's Brandenburg Gate over here. It's one of Berlin's most iconic landmarks. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. So that's what I've kind of been working on. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool places in Germany. There's also Frankfurt, which is the home base of modern Lufthansa, the main hub. There's also Cologne and Munich, some very nice flying areas in Germany. And there's also Helgoland, which is that small little island up there, all the way up there in Germany. And that's a really interesting place to see in the sim, that's for sure. And of course, further south, you get to Austria and Switzerland. You get the stunning Alps. There's so many wonderful areas to fly, and not just in Germany, but lots of stuff. So that's kind of interesting. That's what's so great about this sim, is you get all that really nice beauty and such. So just seeing where we're flying over here today. So we're heading towards Echo Yankee Kilo Sierra, which is S. Darius Airport in Kaunas, Lithuania, and there's actually a reason we're going to that airport. I'll tell you when we get there, but we're just gonna have to cross the border to Lithuania first. The coolest place in Germany is my backyard. But no, Germany is a really cool place to fly over. Home sweet home. Yeah, it's not my French for the one. Yeah, that's good. That's fun. Now, Leo, one of the best tools you can get, let me show you a tool that's really impressive, Leo. This here is a program called Little Navmap. Now, what Little Navmap will allow you to do is you could set up your own flight plans, and you can help use it to formulate any flight plan that you feel like. For me, you can put points on the map. You can do IFR stuff. You can do all sorts of simple advanced stuff. And this little program is the best thing about it. This is for free, by the way. You don't have to pay anything to get this amazing service and all that. Hey, Kaharia! Hey, good to see you, Kaharia. And Citizen 6, good morning to all of you guys. Guten Tag, good to see you here. I think the coolest place in Germany is Farnharnschen. Ah. Now, where's that in Germany? Weimar, I think, let me look that up. Oh, that's located in the Baltic Sea. Oh, that's one of the northern territories. It's from Schleswig-Holstein. I ended up getting an Xbox. Oh, nice. Lunam map is like a giant Swiss Army knife for sim. If only I could use one like that. Yep. Yeah, Lunam map is amazing. I can't live without that map. Benharm, it's known for being, it's where a lot of the migratory birds live here. So if you're a bird lover, this is a very popular location. There's definitely some very beautiful area. That's between Germany and Denmark. Well, I agree. It's a nice location, way up there in the connection to Denmark. We're actually getting somewhat close to the border between here and Lithuania. So we're getting pretty close to the border. Okay, let's check the nav map. We're around 30 nautical miles away from the border between the Oblast in Russia and Lithuania, so we're right near we're 30 nautical miles away. Plan G. Oh, never heard of that one. Let me see. Oh, I didn't know there was another program too. So yeah, if you wonder why it's so foggy out here, I know some of you are thinking, why is it so foggy out here? Well, when Lufthansa, when they did this flight back in 1926, well, the weather conditions weren't so good here. And this was something Nightzepp pointed out, and speaking of Nightzepp, he did some amazing stuff. So he helped me with this, by the way. So this is the book that he has. This is Am Großflugzeug nach Peking. Literally translated to In a Big Plane to Beijing. And this is some of the stuff that that they had here during the time. As well. So you can see the book cover, the initial first page. This was the plane that I'm taking for the flight. My tail number for this one is D903, in honor of this plane. And then there's some of the pilots and crew members up here to the top middle picture. And that is the flight crew during that time. Now, the reason, I know this is weird for me to reiterate, but for newer people that don't know why I'm doing this, I want to let everyone know about this. I wanted to teach people who are brand new to this. Then they did this trip because the main reason was the Treaty of Versailles. Germany and Lufthansa weren't really welcome to the West because of the, World War I and such. And due to Germany's good relationship with the USSR at the time, which seems weird considering they're ideologically very different, they agreed to fly into the interior of the USSR into China. And also they wanted a faster route from Europe to Asia without having to go through Africa and India and all such. So that's why they did this. There's the supposed route. Supposedly it basically was a straight line to all those destinations. We did like one for Berlin to Königsberg. We went through Gdansk. And then this was supposed to be 800 kilometers between Königsberg and Smolensk. Moscow to Kazan, uh, Kazan to Kurgan, Kurgan to Omsk, to Novosibirsk, Novosibirsk to Koronish, to Irkutsk, and then to Chita, to Charbin, Mukden, and Peking. That's what their supposed route. What are you flying? Well, now back in the day, let me show you. This was the plane that was originally flown, the G-24, which is a tri-engine all-wing monoplane. But since the G-24 is in the sim, well, Kaharia, this is the Yonkers J-52 from Asobo. That's the one where the J-52 from Asobo and Microsoft. That is the plane we're flying for today. That's what we're taking for today. This is the supposed route. Like I said, this was drawn by Dr. Nas after the trip. The actual route for the trip. Gotcha, Night Zep. This wasn't supposed route. This was drawn by Nas after the trip. The actual route. Yep. That was the actual route. But yeah, I forgot about it. But this was actually this was written by the actual trip. Sorry about that, Night Zep. I forgot. This was actually the actual route to get there. Yeah, this was the actual route written by Dr. Naus during the trip. Thanks for correcting me on that, Night Zep. It's easy to forget with all the stuff going on I have to learn. So around 2,000 feet, so we're getting right near to the Lithuanian border. But yeah, this was a really interesting flights series, and I wanted to do a flight series like this, but I wanted to do it in a plane that I enjoyed, and this was needed. But not in all detail. The little deviations were straightened. That's correct. Yeah, that's what I did researching it. It was kind of correct too. I think our fuel situation is looking good. Yeah, our fuels, we have 9% on both tanks. We are doing really good here today. Let's see how far we remain in the border. We're around 15 nautical miles from the border, so we're doing pretty good. Weather approved after what is waypoint on today's plane, crossing the River Duna. Yep. I'm just keeping it foggy here. That's correct, because it says here on the notes, west of Konono Canals, rain fog over the forest. So that's why I set the weather today to be foggy and such. Once we get to waypoint 3, the weather should clear up. So once we get to waypoint 3, I'm going to go ahead and just change the weather. So once we get near the Lithuanian border, we're going to talk about my first topic for today's flight, and that is Kaunas. Once we get to the border. It's pretty awful for midsummer winter weather. Yeah, it is awful. But that's just what it was in real life, Zep. The weather condition was not very good. But it's still great to be flying here today, even if But hey, at least the good news, Zep, is this. At least this is not at night. If you recall, last Sunday's flight, we had to fly this at night. And do you know how difficult it was to fly this area at night? It was pitch black. You couldn't really see everything. At least with here, there's some daylight. We can actually see out of it. So I'm going around 120 knots, not super fast. For I'm getting a Christmas mood, I'll use a snow preset. No worries, Martel. You're free to use whatever weather you want. And to be fair, Christmas is coming within a week, so I'm very excited. I gotta reset the clock. Yeah. We're getting near to the Lithuanian border, so I had to set the time properly. So this would be 7:30 our time here. We're getting to the border with Lithuania. And in order to get here from Kaunas, it would be around 40 nautical miles towards Kaunas, which is... I'm going to go ahead and talk about the city now. So, E2, I used the so nice snow preset. Oh, cool. Does anyone have the Santa sleigh run for Orbex? No, I do not, Zap. So this here is the city known as Kaunas, located in Lithuania. Now, this actually is the country's second largest city, and it's an important center of Lithuanian economic, academic, and cultural life. It is located at the confluence of two of the largest rivers in Lithuania. Those two rivers actually being, and that being one of the major rivers, being the Kaunas Reservoir, containing, it's actually between, let's see, the numerous and nearest rivers near the Kaunas Reservoir. It is once nicknamed Little Paris during the 1920s due to its Art Deco and Natural Romanticism style buildings in there. Now, during the time when they did this flight, Kaunas was actually the capital of Lithuania. And I know some of you have been asking, how did this become the capital when currently Vilnius is the capital? Well, the answer actually relies in the Polish-Lithuanian War that happened in 1919. And that was because Vilnius at that time was mostly inhabited by Poles. And the Polish leader at that time wanted to resurrect the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, but Lithuania didn't really want to do it as they wanted to be independent. So Poland and Lithuania fought, and Poland won that war. So Vilnius was actually under the rule of the Poles during that time, and that's why Kaunas was the capital city. So that's a bit of interesting history a lot of people wouldn't think of. Now, some of the city's iconic landmarks include the Knife Fort, which is one of the forts located in the area. There's also another place in Kaunas, which is the Juniper Valley, which is one of the natural landmarks located in Lithuania. And finally, the last natural landmark is going to be the Perkuno House, which is actually which is one of the little houses in the area, located in the area. Now, some famous people from Kaunas include Sidney Shachal and Leo Zamenhof. Now, a bit of background between these two people. Leo Zamenhof was the inventor of the Esperanto language, which is the world's most widely spoken constructive auxiliary language. And Sidney Shachal was a U.S. Army general. He was a Jewish American Holocaust survivor. He was born in Kaunas, Lithuania, in 1934, and he was imprisoned at the Kovno ghetto during World War II in Kaunas. And after he endured 3 years of brutality, he managed to actually survive when he was liberated by the Soviets during that time. And he actually went through a 2,000-mile journey across Europe to American Germany and obtained a visa to the U.S. And then he joined the U.S. Army back in the 1960s, and he served in the U.S. military for almost 40 years of active service and attained the rank of Major General. Pretty interesting guy, to say for the least. So a bit more detail about him. A bit more detail about the city. A bit more detail about the city. One of the most interesting things about Kaunas is the fact this city has been around for centuries. This thing has been at least around since the 14th century. And there's a folk legend that claims that the city was actually established during the Roman times, and that legend suggested that they were led by a patrician named Palemon, which had 3 sons, Barcius, Kunas, and Sparus, and Palemon fled from Rome because of Nero. His sons all traveled to Lithuania, and after his death, the sons divided the land. Kunas got the land where Kunas once stood, and he built a fortress near the confluence of 2 of the rivers. However, we don't know if that is true or not, but that's one of the legends of the city during that time. So definitely some very interesting facts about the city. Now, the airport we're going to be visiting is Echo Yankee Kilo Sierra, which is S. Darius and S. Gurinus Airport. Now, the reason is also it's because they are named after 2 of the most iconic Lithuanian pilots in history, Steponas Darius and Stasys Gurinus. And those 2 were They were both Lithuanian American pilots, and they flew the plane called the Lithuanica, and they flew a Belarusian CH-300 Peacemaker, and they tried to do a nonstop flight from New York, um, all the way to Kaunas, Lithuania, which during that trip, this flight was around, I think, over 4,000 nautical miles. Actually, specifically, that flight was supposed to be 4,447 nautical miles. That's insane. Especially at that time. I mean, from US to Lithuania. If anyone of you fancy a Christmas fruit flight on the DC-6 on Saturday, you can download my special Christmas livery. Ah, I might actually do that. I do have the DC-6, actually. Good find there, Stubbled. Thank you. Good find. Thanks, I really appreciate it. But no, those two pilots did the Lithuanica flight, which is around 4,447 mile flight. However, they crashed in Poland, actually. They crash landed what was now Piszczynnik in Poland. So they actually crashed after over 4,000 miles of flight, which is pretty insane, but they're still very important people from Lithuania. In fact, they're one of the most famous people from Lithuania as well. But this airport is usually the main GA airport of the city. It was originally conceived as a military airport by the German army in 1915. It's used continually since it is the oldest functioning airport in Lithuania, and it's also one of the oldest airports in all of Europe. It went through major upgrades in 1926, 1931, and 1942, the 1950s, and the 70s. During the interwar period between World War I and World War II, when it was the capital, it was used as the primary base of the Lithuanian Air Force, and it served as a test ground for locally built airplanes that were created here in Lithuania. Now, it suffered heavily during the events of World War II when Luftwaffe destroyed most of the Russian aircraft on the airfield. And then during the Cold War, it was used for the Soviet Air Force, mainly for their helicopters and such. And then afterwards, it now became a civil aviation airport. This airport for civil use was used by Dutch Lufthansa, but it was also used by this German Soviet airline Luft that started in 22. There was a Latvian airline that operated a couple routes through this airport during the night from 1923 to 1925. And this also is where the Lithuanian National Aviation Museum is being held at here, which is right next to the airport. So definitely some really interesting facts about our airport coming up. Now, we do have to keep in mind, when we get to the airport, we need to glide down to 20 meters, so I'm going to have to get into the external view just because I don't know how high I can be from inside the cockpit, especially with all that fog. I'm going to have to try to be a little careful here. So let me get back. There's Floydrix ahead of me. Let's check the showcase camera. There's Martel, 738, Druid Zeus, Stumbled Across, Floydrix, and Count Zeb. Nice to see all you guys here. still in the air with me. I appreciate everyone who's still flying along. If you want to join in on this flight, let me give you the route. This is our route currently. And we are on the East USA server. North Europe would be the backup in case anything's happening, but so far, nothing bad's happening. This should be pretty easy to do. And if you like this content, don't be afraid to give me a follow. I would really appreciate any support to the channel. Any support of the channel is always welcome. We should be 15 nautical miles away. We don't really have much farther to go till we get to the airport. So we don't have much farther to go. Let me pull up the nav map. So we're currently 15. I got this little thing called a tracker. We're 15 miles from the airport, so we are not far at all from the airport. So yeah, we're doing quite good so far. This should be pretty smooth from here. Just hold 1 second. I'll go grab something. Just stretching for a little bit. Just stretching for a long flight. So we're doing quite well here. So we should get pretty close to the airport itself. So we're getting pretty close to Darius Airport. We should get here pretty close. Once I'm within around 5 nautical miles, I'll disengage the gyro pilot. And then we'll be able to hand it over here. It's hard to see, but I mean, I blame the fog for it. There's just so much of a fog. The one issue with this fog is that I would have loved to see the natural terrain of Lithuania into this area. This area's got a lot of beauty into it. So, let's see. So changing the gyro power to get us back on course. Got your flowers handy? Yep, I did. Now, guys, the reason we need to go 20 meters down from the airport is because we need to drop a bouquet of flowers with ribbons. Because during that time, there was aviators here in Lithuania, and they had to drop the bouquet of flowers from the plane. So yes, I am ready to actually drop the flowers. I just want to turn off the gyro power once we get closer. The way live order works always impressed me. I was raining here a minute ago and now it's getting snowy. Yeah, that's the great thing about the sim is the weather. And even then, I could just change one of the presets and just alter the weather. It's just, I love the sim for that reason. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the gyro pilot. Stop the gyro pilot. And I'm going to fly this hand manually. Now, when I do the next J52 journey, which is going to take the retrofit, I will have to be flying all of this by hand. I'm also going to start dropping down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and lower the altitude. Now, I didn't say what runway, but I'm going to do the main asphalt runway, which is runway 09. We'll drop that off. I'm going to try and reset the autopilot heading bug while we do that. There. That's... Wait, no, not there. I apologize if this is hard to see. I know you probably don't have the wire set like this. Oh, there she is. There's the runway. Yeah, I need to get 20 feet per meters below. Okay, so 20 meters, 60 feet, 230, 60, 290 feet. Okay, trying to get to 290. Here we go, guys. We're going to get the flowers to the Lithuanian aviators. Here we go, guys. Here's the flowers. Boom. Here's the flowers for you guys. Flowers, 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 flowers. Flowers to everyone, boys. Flowers, flowers, flowers. Here's the flowers. Here we go, Lithuanian pilots. Now we get the gyro pilot back. There we go, guys. We gave the flowers to the Lithuanian aviators now. Not the perfect, but I just give them the flowers. Not exactly the 60 feet, but I try to make sure I don't accidentally land on the runway. Because that thing never called for Lithuanian pilots to land. That's right, Citizen 6. Throw the flowers out there. So this here is the city of Kaliningrad. This is the second largest city in all Lithuania. We just flew over the Neron River. The Niemen River. One of the two rivers, alongside the nearest. We need to get to at least 2,000 feet. Note to Sobo, missing feature, flower drop. Hey. Hey, now we drop the flowers, now we head to our next waypoint. Waypoint 1. So, we're going to follow the old military road. So there used to be a military road during this time, and we're going to follow that the best we could. So we're going to follow this old military road. And that includes, actually, modern-day Kaliningrad International Airport, which is Echo Yankee Kilo Alpha. And this is one of the busiest airports in all of Lithuania, established in 1988. This became the main airport for Bulgaria Air, Corridon Airlines in Turkey, LOT Polish Airlines, and it's one of the main airports for Ryanair as well. In terms of airports in Lithuania, it's the second busiest behind Vilnius Airport and the fourth busiest in the entire Baltic states. Definitely quite a busy area to fly. So there's Kaliningrad International. Flower drop needed for sure. Yep. That's exactly correct, Oh Can Do. Hey, good luck on your stream today, Oh Can Do. I know that I just saw that you're flying over Taiwan today. So good luck on today's stream, man. Hope it goes great. A lot of his stuff, there were a lot of trenches, craters, and gun positions, and they were from those involved during the First World War. Because at that time, this was once owned by the Russian Empire. Hey, Gibbo Ireland. Hope you're doing well, my man. I'm doing great, Gibbo. We just passed over Kaliningrad and Civil Aviation Airport, and we did a simulated flower drop because that was actually what they did back in the day. So we did a simulated flower drop. Unfortunately, Asoba doesn't have that yet, so I had to give it out like that. Okandu says, appreciate it, man. Gotta shoot straight across that, baby. No worries, man. I know you do it. Yeah. Got the Gibbo emote for you. So we're following down a military road, Gibbo. We're gonna follow that military road, which featured a lot of different gun positions from the First World War and such. Yeah, this has been amazing so far. What a great journey here to do here. So the place we're heading to in the waypoint is a place called Ukmerch. So there's some interesting things about it. It's located 40 miles northwest of Vilnius, the capital of all of Lithuania. It has a population of 20,000 people. Now, the name originally took from Vilkmerch, from the Milkamergel River, which is located in the area, though it was commonly thought that the name might translate to she-wolf, as Vilkas and Merja were combination of Lithuanian words. Vilka meant wolf, and Merja meant maiden in the Lithuanian tongue. Now, during this time, this this city was interesting as um, this place was known for having several notable people. One of the more notable people that was born here was Wolf West, which was a not actually one of the more interesting person was Zygmunt Zenkevičius, who is a Lithuanian linguist, and he acquired his schooling here, and he became a leading contributor to languages in other areas. Very well known for classifying the dialects of the Lithuanian language. Definitely very interesting as well. So, Lithuanian, some interesting facts about Lithuania. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Lithuania for a bit. Lithuania, or in Lithuanian, is called Lietuva. Lithuania is one of the 3 Baltic states, alongside Estonia and Latvia. Now, Lithuania has a population of 2.8 million people, and the nation's capital is currently Vilnius. At the time of this flight, it was Kaunas due to the Polish-Lithuanian War that happened during that time. For millennia, this area was inhabited by various Baltic tribes, and the lands were eventually unified in 1253 to form the Kingdom of Lithuania. Now, let me show you a little something about the Kingdom of Lithuania during that time. And Kingdom of Lithuania was one of the most powerful Eastern European countries during the 14th to 16th century. Oh, Captain Canadian Mustache has just followed. Hey, Captain Canadian Mustache, welcome to the channel, man. Thanks for coming here today. So yeah, this is the J-52 1926 Lufthansa Berlin to Beijing recreation flight. This is leg 2. We went through Kaunas in Lithuania. We took off from Kaliningrad and we're heading our way to Smolensk. So great to see you. Excellent to see you here. So, I didn't know you stream too. Oh yeah, I stream. I stream lots of things. I did a baseball sort of stream as my very first ever series on Sundays. I also streamed just normal group flights, just pick the places around the world, GA stuff, and then I now do this as my new series. So welcome, Captain Canadian Mustache. Let me give him a shout out. Now, Captain Canadian Mustache, really awesome, really entertaining fighting community. He's not the one for the faint of heart, but I mean, he is a very fun content creator to be around. And he's been hanging around quite a bit. Such a cool guy to be around. Hmm. So yeah, great to see you here. So let me show you a little something too about Lithuania. So during the 15th, 16th centuries, this used to be Lithuania. Now I know a lot of people thinking, what's this? Yeah, this was Lithuania during the 13th to 15th century. And mind you, those territories where they got here weren't just modern day Lithuania. They were modern day Lithuania, Poland, Moldova, Ukraine, Belarus, and even modern Russian territory. Yes, Lithuania used to own all of those territories back in the day. That's Lithuania. This is how big Lithuania was back in the old days, which I think was really interesting to talk about. But during the time, though, Lithuania was once part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in 1569, and Lithuania remained in the Commonwealth until to the 1790s with the partitions that happened to the PLC during the time. And as a result, due to the partitions, Lithuania was not an independent state until 1918, after the Brest-Litovsk Treaty put Russia out of the war. And Lithuania kind of had a messy as an independent country initially due to the Polish-Lithuanian War, which Poland took their capital. And then they remained independent until the Soviet Union occupied the Baltics for the next 5 decades. Until Lithuania regained its true independence back in 1990 when it was restored its independence. Lithuania has now since been a very developed country with an advanced economy and highly ranked in Human Development Index, including civil liberties, press freedom, and internet freedom. In fact, Lithuania was the first Soviet republic to proclaim independence. Now, some really interesting things about Lithuania, definitely being that Lithuania has a very deep culture. Its language is one of the 2 Baltic languages still remaining as notable Baltic languages. And Lithuania has had a very deep history with architecture. And it gave Lithuania its unique character, its music, as well. And Lithuanian culture is unique as it's suited to the cool and moist northern climate. Now, the reason is that Lithuania's culture combines indigenous heritage of the Baltics with influence from the Nordic countries of Scandinavia and Christian tradition from Poland. This, as a result, gives it quite a unique flavor of culture. Now, some notable Lithuanians, they include Jogaila, by the way, and Jogaila is one of the Lithuanian leaders during the time. And his Polish name was Władysław II Jagiellon, who was the Grand Duke of Lithuania from 1377 to 1434, and he was also the King of Poland. His family, which was the Jagiellons, were eventually the ones who united the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. And he was the last pagan ruler of the era during that time. Then we have Aravada Sabonis. Now, for those basketball players who don't know, I know there were a lot of great basketball players during the 1980s, including Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon. But a lot of people don't know is that Aravada Sabonis was probably almost as good as all of them. He was one of the greatest basketball players in history. We did get to see him in the NBA, but he never showed that potential. But Aravada Sabonis was an amazing basketball player. Oh, and by the way, basketball is Lithuania's most popular sport, actually. And finally, Stefanas Darius, who I talked about a bit earlier. He and another Lithuanian pilot attempted to do a nonstop flight from New York to Kaliningrad, Lithuania. Unfortunately, they crashed in Poland at over 4,000 miles across until they crashed in Poland. But they are definitely some of the most iconic Lithuanians in history. And there's quite a few other iconic Lithuanians as well. Now, some interesting thing about Lithuania is their cuisine. Now, their most popular food, one of their most popular and iconic dish of Lithuania is Sipolaniai, which is basically the main dish. The name of it comes from a shape that resembles a Zeppelin airship. They're usually what there are is their main ingredients is potatoes. Then they did ground meat or dry cottage cheese or mushrooms are basically the main ingredients, and they often serve it with sour cream sauce and bacon bits or pork rinds. This is very popular because potatoes grow extremely well in the moist conditions of Lithuania. So that is another very popular dish. Dark rye bread is another very popular Lithuanian delicacy food. Then they also have beer. Beer is very popular in Lithuania, especially after post independence. Beer has been very popular. Several Lithuanian beers have even won international awards. And traditional Lithuanian beer it has an earthy and yeasty flavor, and it's the rich color of the clear straw. Then there's also a traditional beer as well. So definitely some very steep stuff. They also have Lithuanian style cakes called paragas, and they usually have another fruit baked. Sometimes have another fruit baked into them, which includes apples, plums, or apricots. So there's definitely a lot of different stuff about Lithuania to talk about from all sorts. So definitely, I think Lithuania is really cool. And then their language is one of the only Baltic languages that's still surviving. Hey, Tomos World! Tomos! Hey, Tomos World, good to see you. Amazing that you can pull up IFR conditions in the Yonkers. I would be afraid. Yeah! But trust me, Tomos, this is what they did back in 1926. They had to deal with this sort of stuff, Tomos. Good to see you. Let me give Tomos World a shout out. Tomos World is another really cool, another really great content creator. There's so many really good ones. Tomos World is doing he's doing an around the world flight. He's been doing that he's been doing it for quite a while now. He also is a musician too. He makes his own music and such too, which is a really interesting thing that Tomos has done. So I'm gonna give him a shout out because I think Tomos World, I really appreciate you coming here. And thanks for coming along. I appreciate it. So we're doing leg 2 of the recreation flight. We're flying from, we took off from Kaliningrad. We hit through Kaunas, which is the second largest city in Lithuania. And now we're heading towards Latvia. Thanks a million. So how's your flight going? It's going to be 14 legs. It's 14 legs. Last week we flew from Berlin to Kaliningrad. We also flew by Gdansk, which is back then Danzig. And then after this leg, we're going to be flying to Moscow in glorious Russia. And don't worry, I'm going to get the landmarks, the Moscow landmark stuff downloaded, so we can fly over downtown Moscow. So yeah, that is this is gonna be 14 different stages, I believe. We're gonna do 14 of them. Friends to all, hey, friends to all, good to have you in the chat. Good to see. Sounds great. Will you fly it all in this Junkers? Yep. Yep, we're gonna fly all of us in the Junkers JU-52. Well, the reason, Tomo, let me go up the slideshow. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So let me get this. See, This here is the plane they actually took for the flight, Tomos. This is the Junkers G-24, designed by the legendary Hugo Junkers. 90 knots all day long. Actually, we're going 117 knots, not 90. But the Junkers G-24 can only go like 110 as max speed. This was an all metal ring transport, and since that plane's not in the sim, we're doing it in the Ju-52. It just made sense. Is the G-24 before? Yep. The Ju-52, the tri-engine flew in 1932. This flew in 1926. So yeah, that is correct, Tomos. That's 100% correct. That's why I didn't want to fly it too fast. I know it's a bit faster than that, says Captain Canadian Mustache. Yep, that's exactly correct. Okay, here's the crazy thing. Some of you guys weren't even here last week. Last week, not only was this raining and fogging, I had to fly that at night. For some of those who don't know, this thing doesn't even have like the lights on a modern plane. This was complete dark. I had to use a flashlight to make sure everything was working well. Thankfully, this is daytime, and I don't have to worry about that sort of thing. So, are you live weather? No. This is not live weather. This is custom weather based on the details that the information provides me. And speaking about this information, let me show you where I got all this information from. This is from NightZep, and this is based off this book here. And in that book, Dr. Robert Noss, the one who did this, he had notes for every single part of the trip. So yeah, this is an actual recreation of the flight. But since this book's in German, I had to get it from someone else, and I wanted to thank NightZep for that. I still thank him to this day for this. This right here on the bottom right is one of the planes used in the thing, D903. And believe it or not, yeah, D903. That is the tail number I got for it. It's the one that matches the plane. And then on the top one here, that is all the pilots and crew who came along on this journey. So there's that. And then they did this trip because they wanted to get a faster route from Europe to Asia without having to go through Africa and the Middle East. But the main reason was due to Germany not having great relations with the West and having surprisingly good relations with the USSR at the time. They agreed through much, and they had to fly to the interior of the USSR. And this one's going to be about 5,000 nautical miles in the Junkers. 5,000 nautical miles. And this is the route they took. This is actually, I should be the actual route. And this is the actual route they had to go through. Berlin, Königsberg, Smolensk, Moscow, Kazan, Kurgan, Novosibirsk, Karasibsk, Irkutsk, Chita, Charbon, Mukden, and Peking. So those are the actual route they took. They straightened that out after the flight. So that is the historical recreation stuff. And that is all the historical stuff we're going to be doing on today's flight. And this isn't going to be the only historical flight with the Junkers. I have one more planned. And let me show you. Let me get my books. Because I got another set of stuff I got. This is going to be after I do this. I got one more planned. And it's going to be it's going to be the Lufthansa restoration flight of Delta Alpha Quebec Uniform India, which is one of the oldest airworthy Ju-52s available. And that one flew from Opelika, Miami to Hamburg, Germany. And I got not one but two books that talk about that plane. Saga of Iron Annie, which is this one. This one was restored by Martin Kaiden during the 1970s, and he took it on many air shows. In fact, he once even landed a Ju-52 at less than took that thing off less than 400 foot in a Junkers. You may think, oh, that seems stupid when you consider this is a 1930s airliner. And then this is Lufthansa Ju-52. This is the history of the plane with Lufthansa during the years of the 1930s and in early 40s. And part of that covers the restoration of Delta Alpha Quebec Uniform India, their official restoration during 1984. And during that time, before 2019, Lufthansa used to do special flights with that, but they since moved it to the museum. But it's a very memorable plane, and I'm really excited to actually get that flight started after I get done with that. That's kind of historical stuff I want to do. I just want to show you guys the books that I'm going to be using for the next journey to take. So, for wave 2 at the point, we're going to be, they're going to stay on the northern bank of the Duna River. So we're just going to stay in the northern bank. Because during this area right here where Belarus was at, this was owned by Poland. So we have to stay on that side of the trip. But yeah, it's kind of foggy out here today. So I'm going to go ahead and play some music. You guys don't mind if I play some Christmas music now? I think this is going to be a pretty long area of the flights. I think I'm going to play a little bit of music to kind of take the time off. Alright, I think it's time I play some Christmas music. So a friend of mine lives in Hamburg. She was married to a Lufthansa manager and got an air flight on the Junkers. All that is so awesome. Man, I really would have loved to have been in the Junkers in real life. That plane is such a brilliant plane. I'm so happy Asobo brought this plane to the sim. I'm so happy Asobo brought it into the sim. That plane never gets the respect I think it deserves to be. Definitely one of my all-time favorites. And the more I've flown this in the sim, the more I love it. So definitely a very deserving addition to the simulator. It's so underrated in the sim too. It's such a delight to fly. It is. The Junkers, I mean, for $15, this is an unbeatable plane. And this isn't like some of the other cheap planes you get for the sim. This thing has so much detail. And there's actually a lot of stuff you could touch. The nav frequencies you could touch. The parking brake, you could touch the throttle gas if you really want to. There's autopilot. And I mean, this is just the 1939 version. This thing's got scopes. It's got floats. It's got skis. There's even the retrofit version too, if you want the more modern stuff. And in fact, the retrofit is what I'm going to take on the next journey, which is the retrofit. So I'm going to take that next, after I complete this one. So yeah, I am so excited to do more flying with it. I just love it. It's such a good, it's just such a great plane, and it's so versatile, which actually is perfect. I like it a lot. Citizen 6, so many options, like you said. And there's also a lot of really cool liveries. If you go to Flight Sim TO, there's a lot of great liveries. Hey, Dikey with the rate of 16 viewers. Dikey, you came at a great time. So we're heading our way to the border to Latvia from Lithuania. We took off much earlier in the stream from Kaliningrad Duval International Airport. And we went through Kaunas, and we dropped up a few flowers for the aviators down below in Lithuania. So we're going to be heading there as well. There's Dougal McTavish, good to see you. Test Pilot 72, I haven't seen you in a while, Test Pilot. I hope you and the rest of the former Thunderflies are doing well. And it's good to see you both here. Citizen 6, yeah, there's so many great planes. I know, and I just got the Kodiak, so I'm going to have even more difficulties trying to find a good plane to fly. I got the Kodiak. But yeah, great to see all of you guys here. Thank you for coming on the raid. That is amazing, everyone. Thank you. Just playing a bit of Christmas music. K-War, it's good to see you. Salute. Nice to see you here. Just playing a few bit of Christmas music here. Just something to listen to. Make it less stressful. So now we're gonna get to the border to Latvia pretty soon. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it since we're not gonna be in Latvia for too long. So Latvia, actually, let me get down my slideshow. Poland, yeah. And by the way, for you guys, first time who have got new to me, I do slideshows and stuff. Because I don't want to just be the flight sim who just do silly stunts. I want to actually teach you guys all the stuff we're going to be flying over towards and learn new stuff. And flight sim, I think, is a fantastic area where we can be educational and to learn more about it. So this here is Latvia. Now, Latvia is one of the three Baltic states, like I said earlier with Lithuania. Now, Latvia has a really interesting history in itself. With a population of 1.9 million people, it is probably one of the smaller of the Baltic countries. Its main capital and largest city is in Riga, located in the Baltic coast. Now, for centuries, Latvia was ruled by the Germans, the Swedes, Polish, Lithuanian, and Russian rule. And after centuries of that, the Republic of Latvia was established in 1918 from the German Empire in the aftermath of World War I. However, during the 30s, it became autocratic, and then it was occupied by both the Germans and the Soviets as well for the next 45 years. And then in 1991, Latvia became independent again, and it's now a highly developed country with high income. In fact, per GDP, Latvia's economy has a higher per capita GDP than Russia does. It performs quite favorably in civil liberties, press freedom, and more. And it has a very deep culture. Now, 62% of people are actually ethnic Latvians, but there is a very large Russian minority in Latvia with 24.5%. Now, the picture here is the capital, Riga, during the snow, and it's a really nice area. So some of Latvia's more iconic landmarks include the old Riga city center, located in downtown Riga, the Torresia Castle in Sigulda, and the Karosta prison in Latvia. Now, there are quite a few notable Latvians, but I picked some really interesting Latvians to pick. So first is the basketball star Kristaps Porzingis, one of the biggest modern names to come out of Latvia. And he is a basketball star that currently plays for the Dallas Mavericks. He was a star for the New York Knicks during the time. Then another guy, Jakub Kettler. Jakub Kettler was the Duke of Courland, and believe it or not, Latvia used to once colonize the Americas. The second smallest state to actually colonize the Americas. They colonized Tobago, actually. And they held it for 15 years, actually. The only state that's smaller that colonized the Americas was actually Malta. Believe it or not. That's kind of a weird fact. But Jakub Kettler made Courland extremely wealthy. And then finally, Andreas Pumpers. Now, Andreas Pumpers is definitely a very interesting guy as well. And he is the poet of the Latvian national epic, Lak Plēsis, I believe, which is set during the Lenovian Crusades during the time. And then he became a national poet of that. So that's pretty cool to learn. Let me get back to the chat. Learn a ton about the area. I didn't know about anything until this morning. I appreciate it. That's what I want to do as a content creator. Have fun, Viper. I need to look at the dogs. Great to see you, Daiki SMS. By the way, let me give Daiki a shout out. Daiki, really great content creator. I know being mute is kind of a challenge, but I mean, Daiki has more than overcome all his challenges to become a really great content creator. He does a lot of really fun flights. And he's currently doing another world tour. He's doing the one done by Zara Rufferfer, and he keeps track of her real time. Whenever Zara Rufferfer goes around the world, he goes there too, and it's really cool to see him do it. So give him a follow. Hey, Nightzepp says, I had to leave you here. No, thank you for coming along on the trip, Nightzepp. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I hope to see you tomorrow on Murph stream. So thank you for coming along, Zepp. I really appreciate it. No worries. It's good to see you. So yeah, we're not gonna spend much time in Latvia. We're gonna spend like probably around like 30 miles in Latvia. We're just going around the southeast corner of it. So once we get to waypoint 3, I'm going to clear up the weather a bit, since that is what Zepp said. To clear up the weather. So yeah, this sim is really nice. Look at how much green everything is. It's great. The weather's nice and green. It's just fantastic. So guys, if you like this content, don't be afraid to give me a follow to support the channel even further. Every bit of support comes a long way to making everything better. And I really appreciate everyone here. Thank you guys so much. Daiki, thank you for the raid. I really, really appreciate you coming here. And all the viewers that have come from him, the new follows, thank you so much. So we're going through So I'm going to go ahead and play a bit of music. That plane's kind of a younger. Yeah, but it's a beautiful bird. Good to see you, Sergeant Staff. Yeah, this plane's a beautiful warbird. Yeah, this plane's a beautiful bird. It may not be the priest bird, but it's so effective at what it does. Oh yeah, and this thing's also a warbird because, you know, the Luftwaffe made extensive use of this plane too during the Second World War. Um, Thanks for sending me the link. Hey, Sergeant Staff, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I got a really nice raid from Dikey Decimus. I thank him for the raid. Dikey gave me an amazing raid. Oh, I checked your Whisper Stumbled. I did watch that before. Actually, let me post this in my stream links, actually, if you don't mind. So, guys, I actually do have a Discord, believe it or not. And, oh, Kazaki just raided again. Another raid from Kazaki with the party of 8. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. Good to see you, Kazaki Flyer, in chat. Welcome. Good to see you. So we actually took off from Kaliningrad. We're heading our way into the border of Latvia. Good to see everyone here. Welcome. So Kazaki, how was that flight through the Notches Trail been? I know Foxtrot's flown through that route before. So I hope you're all doing great. I really appreciate it. Welcome, Raiders. I mean, second raid of the day. That's really impressive. So yeah, it's kind of foggy out here today, but I mean, to be fair, it is kind of foggy out here due to the weather. That is what the conditions permitted in this flight. I took a silent trip around Nashville. Oh, nice. Nashville, the Music City. Great choice. Yeah, I did that for one of my baseball trips, Kazaki. During my trip to Atlanta, I took off from Nashville, flew to Atlanta. Definitely very nice to be here. What a great flight for everyone here. Welcome everyone in the Raiders. So let me recap what we've been so far. So we took off from Kaliningrad. We did a 115-mile flight to Kaunas Airport. We dropped off a few flowers right here. And then we went across the city. We followed a military road. And we continued to follow the northern bank of this area. We're going to head into Latvia for a little, we just fly over a bit of Latvia. And then for the rest of the trip, we fly through Belarus into Smolensk. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. Zoom out the map. Here. Right here. So that's our route. Is that good enough for it all? So that's the map where we're doing for today. So yeah, that's the map. This has been really cool. And then next week, after we do here, we're going to fly to Moscow. And yes, I mean, way out. Okay, let me see. Way out. Yeah. Way. That weigh out enough? Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Oh, yeah, it's flat. The Earth, I get a flat Earth joke. I get it. But yeah, we're heading through the place known as. So we're flying through here as well. See, Earth is flat. Even though in real life, Earth is not flat. God, gosh darn it. So some interesting things about Latvian language. It's also known as Lettish. It is one of the last remaining Baltic languages. So there's a few words I do want to say from Latvian. I know there's been quite a few interesting things as well. Let's talk about. So in Latvian, hello is Saviki. Javiki. Good day is Labdien. What conspiracy theory is this? Hey, good to see you. It was nice seeing you, Gamzus. Thank you for coming along on the trip. I appreciate it. So I really appreciate it. Sergeant Staff, LOL. No, but it's great seeing everyone here. I really appreciate all of you guys here. So, I'm just talking about a few things about the Latvian language. So, goodbye, see you later is Ar divias uz rezonanzos. That's goodbye, see you later. Yes, in Latvian is ja. No is ne. Man is varietas. And woman is sieviete. Trying to do some of this language stuff to kind of learn more about Latvia's culture and its interesting history. As I think it's really important to go over a few things. I'll definitely go more detail about Russia, since that's the vast majority of the trip is going to be in Russia. So I'll talk way more about Russia's history and such. Now, Latvia's most popular sport is ice hockey, and Latvia's had many famous hockey stars during that time as well. But also, Latvia's other popular sport is basketball, and Latvia has had a lot of tradition in basketball, having some European basketball stars, and then most recently was Christos Porzingis, and he was currently one of the most famous basketball players from Latvia. Latvia also has a cuisine that's somewhat similar to Lithuania's cuisine, as there's a lot of potatoes in Latvia. And also fish is commonly consumed as well due to being in the Baltic Sea. Sivriet is napkin. Yeah, but that I try to speak it like Latvian. I was doing it in Latvian. In Latvian, Sivriet is woman. So I'm trying to sound like Latvian. Some of the most common foods and dishes in Latvia come countries as a result of their historical domination, including from Russian food as well, in particular Pelmeni, borscht, stroganoff, dressed herring, and more. The most consumed alcohol beverage in Latvia is beer, and a national liquor that's very popular is Riga Black Balsam, which is the national drink of Latvia. And compared to other Western countries, Latvia is very rich in milk products. Cottage cheese, sour cream, soured milk, and many different kinds of fresh and dry cheeses are available. They also make, in addition, Latvian cheese is often added with seeds, nuts, dried fruits, clover, and other mixtures. And the traditional Latvian cheese is the Zhani cheese, and it's served during the summer festival of Zhani, and it's a symbol of Latvian culture. Also, there are soups, rye bread, different kinds of pastries, and other kind of drinks. And one of the most interesting drinks I found out is birch sap. They actually drink birch sap during the spring, and they often ferment it by adding raisins, twigs, or lemon peels. That is kind of an interesting thing to talk about Latvia. I didn't even realize they actually do that. It's really cool. So I like to talk about all this sort of stuff about the countries. I know some of you may not get this right away, but I like learning more about countries because it expands my horizons a bit, and I want to learn more. So we're getting near to one of the places in Latvia. I believe it is Daugavpils, I believe. It is one of these cities located in Latvia. Now this place here is, it was the capital of the Polish-Lithuanian Lenova during the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. It's close to both Belarus and Lithuania as well. It was a major railway junction and industrial center, as it's between Riga and Minsk, and between Warsaw and St. Petersburg. It became part of the Russian Empire in 1772. And this place has many different names throughout its history, depending on different languages. The town was this town was established in 1275 when the Lenova Order built Donenberg Castle. And it was part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in 1561. Became part of the Russian Empire in 1776. This city has had a large and active Jewish population from the time. And this thing has a very deep Jewish history as well. I need to jump out, but have a good one. Take care, Sergeant Staff. Birch tree sap? Yes, actually, yes. Birch tree sap. Yep, birch tree sap. That's correct. Yeah, birch water. They directly tap it from the birch trees. That's correct. It can be considered fresh or naturally fermented. When clear, it is a clear liquid with a slightly sweet and silky texture. After 2 or 3 days, though, it becomes fermenting and becomes more acidic. And they usually drink it in the Baltic regions and such. And that's because ancient Balts used to consider birch as to be one of the most sacred trees during the times as the pagans. So yeah, very interesting thing to point out. That's something I just found out. But they actually use this for many different folk uses for different conditions. They use it for both traditional and cosmetic use for traditional uses for folk. And you can even sell some of this birch snap commercially too, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, when I looked at it, I was surprised about it, quite honest. I still see Martel, Count Zep, Splasher6 joining us today. Hey, Splasher, you're with us. Voidrix, Martel, good to see you. So if you guys like this content, I think just let me know if you like my content and support my channel any way I can. So I appreciate everyone here. This has been a great journey. So we're around about 8 nautical miles from when we turn to the next checkpoint waypoint. And this area in particular, where we're going from, this is where they operated the Derelict flight from Moscow to Berlin. And basically back then, Derelict was a joint Soviet-German airline that was established in 1921. And it opened its first permanent air link between Moscow and Königsberg via Kaunas and Smolensk on May 1st, 1922. And it also started a new route between Berlin and Leningrad via Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, in 1928. And it maintained both routes until the 31st of March 1936. It was a successful business, but it was terminated in 1937 due to the changed political situation. And I think we probably know why that situation changed. So that is, we're going to be flying through a lot of this route. So much of this route is the route that Daryl used to take for their flights. So that's basically what the route's going for. And don't worry, guys, this music is copyright free. So there's no worry about the music. Just playing some Christmas stuff here today. Okay, I think it's about time we turn to 97 degrees. There. There we go. We now turn right. So our fuel situation, let me pull that up. Our fuel situation is doing pretty good, 68%. This should be enough for most of the journey. Epidemic sound? No. This is Twitch soundtrack. This is not Epidemic, though. But the good news is, Kaharia, Streamlabs OBS has a natural plugin for Twitch soundtrack, and plus, I'm not sure if I want to it's that I do want to get Epidemic Sounds at some point, but I'll probably get it later. Oh, okay, says Kahari. Yep. But I could, but as long as I have this VOD soundtrack thing, I don't have to worry about the soundtrack of a Twitch thing, because OBS now natively supports that. But I mean, when I do get Epidemic Sound, I'll get it eventually. Just not now. Yeah, no worries, Kaharia. I appreciate you asking me that question. Are you learning? Actually, we actually went past EKYS. We passed it. There's EKYS. We went way past that. We went past that. Yeah, Leo, this is a very nice plane. Leo, if you want to actually get this plane, it's actually from the Instant Marketplace for 15 USD. And trust me, it is way worth it. The nearest airport to the journey is going to be EVDA. EVDA, we just passed it. But maybe you pick something pretty fast, you might actually catch up to me. EVDA. No worries, friends all. No problem. I am extremely happy to help. So once we get to waypoint 3 here, I'm gonna clear up this weather a bit, because that's what Ninestep said earlier in the chat. So once we get past the border, I'll talk a bit more once we get to Belarus itself. But now I want to talk about the natural drink of Latvia. This is Riga Black Balsam. Now this is a traditional Latvian balsam alcohol, and that basically is a herbal alcohol with very high alcohol content for liquor, and it's often used for medicinal purposes. It is produced nowadays by JSC Latvia's Balsams, and has received more than 100 awards at different international fairs throughout its long history. Every year, 2 million bottles of this has been produced every year and is exported to 30 countries. There are several variations of it, with black currants and cherries, as well as the Black Balsam XO mixed with 8-year age French brandy. Now, the traditional recipe for that drink was created in 1752 by Abraham Kunz, who's an apothecary living in Riga. It was originally known as the Kaczynski Balsam, and it was sold only at a pharmacy as a prescription medicine. And according to legend, Empress Catherine the Great was feeling sick, so the personal doctor proved helpless. Kunz actually gave her the balsam, and it cured her condition. and that as a result made it very popular throughout Europe, and it gave him the exclusive rights to produce it for the next 50 years. Since 1845, it is produced commercially in a court tradition. Only the head liquor master knows the exact recipe. The original recipe was lost during World War II, but it was carefully restored through a joint effort of the former employees. As a result, it is a very popular liquor, and let me show you what that liquor kind of looks like. Like I said, let me show you. Let me pull up the slideshow. So this is the black basalt I was talking about. Now this basalt consists of 24 natural different ingredients, including 17 botanical ingredients, like blueberries, raspberries, birch buds, bitterwort roots, peppermint leaves, and more. And the color of it reminds me of traditional black coffee, and its aroma has a very distinct aroma. It can be used on its own or be added to coffee, hot chocolate, and more. And it's poured over different kinds of juices to create the black shooter, as well as an ingredient for various different cocktails, such as the Black and Stormy cocktail. It's used for different cocktails and such. Such a versatile little drink. Such a very versatile little thing. And it's the national drink of Latvia. And rightfully so. That's a healthy drink. Except that's not healthy. It's alcohol. And not to mention, Martel, this is extremely high alcohol content. Like, to put in perspective, that's more alcohol content than most beers, mind you. That's pretty crazy to think about, that's for sure. So we're now getting into the border of Belarus now. So we're now entering the Belarusian border. So that's definitely going to be. So we're around. Let's see how far we are. We are around. I think we're right next to the border. We're like 12 miles away from the border. Once we clear that border, it's going to be another 151 miles from waypoint 3 to get to Smolensk in Russia. I hope I'm doing a good job of keeping you all entertained. I know it's not always the most exciting thing to go for. Oh, thanks, Citizen 6. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that these slideshows and this information stuff is working. So let's see what else I can see. So for all those who. So, the Kodiak just came out 2 days ago on Friday, and I managed to get it. I bought the Kodiak, and it's fantastic. I think it's one of my new favorites GA planes. It's a fantastic bird. Love the Kodiak. Like, once you get the trim down, it is a very nice plane. There's also Flyboys coming out with their 380X, which is exciting. DC Designs, the one who made the Tomcat, they're coming out with, for 2022, they announced plans for the Concorde, Su-27, Harrier, A-10C, and more. I mean, that's going to be exciting, by the way. This is great information about a place I've never flew before. That's what the sim is all about. It is. Latvia is really interesting to learn. So I'm really excited because I can't wait to see what DC Design is going to do. Like, for example, I would be excited for their Su-27s excited, but they also announced they're coming out with their own P-47 Thunderbolt. I am so excited for the Thunderbolt. Dude, Thunderbolt's going to be amazing. And then they're also coming out with their freeware P-61 Black Widow. That's going to be a really cool warbird. And of course, I'm also excited for the Concorde. Like, I'm not into airliners, but that Concorde is going to be really exciting. Can't wait to see how good the Concorde's going to be. I may do a flight or two with that. As well. Then CAL FIRE is coming out with a new plane that's coming out in 2022. The Grumman S2 F3AT Turbo Tracker. Hey, there's... Oh, Ferdal, there you were! Yeah, the S2 Turbo Tracker. That's going to be a really, really nice plane. This is... And that S2 is what they use for a lot of the firefighting stuff. So that's going to be extremely... Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Concorde as well. And here's the thing. I'm not an airline pilot, mind you. I'm a GA guy, but I'm excited for the Concorde. I want to fly that. So yeah, I'm very excited for 2022. 2022 is going to be a fantastic year. I can't wait. I'm super excited. And then Murph was also showing off the Rex AccuSeason seasons mod. I saw him show off that. And then also coming in 22, India Fox Echo is coming out with their F-35 Lightning. And apparently can do vertical landings and such. Yeah, I cannot resist the Concorde. I mean, a supersonic airliner. I mean, Concorde is just a masterful piece of engineering. And I would definitely get my hands on that. And then, obviously, Big Radios also comes out with their own Goose for next year, too. The Grumman JFR6 Goose. And I had their freeware one for a long while. Really nice freeware. I'm just excited for all the new planes for 2022. I know 2021 was a great year for a lot of great add-ons. The Kodiak, the Yonkers, the Husky, the DC-6, the new Kodiak that just came out. The F-14 from DC Designs was great. A lot of really good add-ons. I can't wait. And then the Milviz PC-6 was another great one, too. Flying Iron Spitfire was fantastic, and now Flying Iron's going to make it even better. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for the future of payware. There's so many good ones now to talk about. If you guys, is there a Vickers Viking VC1? Let me go check. No, there's not been a Vickers Viking. Not for MSFS. There is one for FSX though. Gaharia, so no. But yeah, Vickers Viking would be a pretty interesting plane. But a Vickers Viking would be interesting for the sim. I would like to see someone do it. Another plane I would like to see is the classic Turbo Beach. I know there's the Beechcraft Baron, but I'm at the classic Turbo Beach. The Turbo Beach 18. The Beach Model 18. I would love to see someone do a classic Model 18. They use a lot of that for training and such. Beach Model 18 would be awesome for the sim. That's a classic. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and move this a little faster now. So now that we get to the waypoint, the weather apparently is now going to clear up. So we're going to a bit of overcast. So now the weather's cleared up. We're now in a bit of overcast now. The weather should clear up. We're now in overcast, so we now have a change of weather. Now we can see it's starting to clear up a little. Actually, I should put a scattered clouds. So now that the weather's started to clear up, the water's now cleared up, and now we're heading into Belarus. One of the VC1 is public display is beside the runway at LOAV. Let me look up that airport. LOAV airport. Oh, it is in Volsa Airfield, located in Lower Austria. Ah, cool. So, guys, if you don't know, I do have a Discord on the channel. I haven't updated the invite link, and I also have a YouTube as well for all previous VODs. So, if you haven't seen the original VOD for it, I have it here on my channel. Don't be afraid to check it out if you're interested. So we're now flying our way into Belarus now. So we're going to follow the rest of that journey. We're going to basically follow the traditional route. Until we get to Smolensk. So we're now going to be going over Belarus for a bit. So Belarus is going to be our next country. Since we're Belarus, we better be careful. Yeah, but this was back in 1926, and this is Flight Sim. We don't really have to worry about Belarus so much. So, Belarus. Belarus is in Eastern Europe. It's located right. It's bordered by several countries, including Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, and Russia, and Ukraine as well. Now, Belarus has been ruled by centuries through various different governments until the 20th century. That included Kievan Rus, the Principality of Polotsk, the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and the Russian Empire. After the aftermath of the Russian Revolution, Belarus became independent in 1918. And then, unfortunately, it was involved in the Polish-Soviet War, and Belarus lost half of its territory to Poland. Much of the Belarusian borders took their modern shape in 1939, and now acquired some of the Polish lands that were Eastern Polish lands. Now became part of Belarus, and then modern Belarus didn't become independent until 1990. Fall of a new adopted constitution in 1994, Alexander Lukashenko was elected as president, and it's their country's first and only free election. It turns out. You see, Belarus is considered by many to be one of Europe's last dictatorships in there. And due to Lukashenko's government, it has a poor human rights record, and it's very authoritarian. And it's the only European country currently that uses the death penalty. And it's continuing to enlarge Soviet-era policies, including state ownership. That's why of all Eastern European countries, it's not developed really well. It has a population of 9.3 million and its capital largest city is in Minsk. Now, some of the landmarks here include the Brest Memorial Complex, the Kalazala Church, and the Island of Tears Memorial, located in Minsk. Now, some notable Belarusians include a very infamous one, but he's often the first person you think of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko. Yes, he's an infamous one, but I had to put him, even if I didn't like him. He is what most people think of Belarusians. Then there's Pavil Sukhoi, who was born in Belarus. He was the famed aviation engineer of the Soviets during that time. He invented the Sukhoi aircraft and produced several major company designs, including the Su-7. His company, he even worked with Alexei Tupolev to design a few of their aircraft too, and his company Sukhoi designed many iconic military planes, including the Su-24 Frogfoot and the Su-27 Flanker, both very iconic planes. And finally, Tadeusz Kościuszko, who was born in Belarus, modern-day Belarus. He was a Polish-Lithuanian commander. He served, and he fought in the American Revolution, and he also fought for the Kościuszko Uprising back in the 1790s. He is a national hero for Poland, Lithuania, Belarus, and Latvia. A national hero, and he is definitely one of Belarus's most iconic people. So that is Belarus in a nutshell. Now, some more information about Belarus. Belarus has had a long history since 5000 BC, but it didn't really become Slavic until the 9th century when the Kievan Rus, which is a loose federation of East Slavic, Baltic, and Finnic people, came into existence under the Rurikid dynasty, which settled into modern Belarus. In 1386, Belarus was part of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, and Lithuania had a personal union with Poland, and it became part of that rule until the 1790s. Then it became part of the Russian Empire since then, and such. Now, Belarus over the past couple of days has unfortunately been seen in bad light. Hey, Splasher, can you get rid of that comment from Bad Henry X? I would really appreciate it if you can help him get rid of that. If any of the mods can help out me out with this. Okay, I'd take care of it. Sorry, I'm not interested in buying follows. I'd rather get them the... It'll take me longer to get the follows I want, but I'd rather do it my own way. Out of here. Get out with that crap. So we're going to keep following the directions 102 miles south. There's Martel, friends all. Wardrick, Splasher 6 still in the back. So we're going on our way to Smolensk. Sorry, they're still on the trigger. No worries, I got him. That's why I'm happy this thing's got autopilot. No worries, man. Just wanted to help out. My correct impression was that Belarus and Ukraine and Georgia were more democratic and trying to remain free of Russia. My incorrect. Yeah, yeah, that was correct. Unfortunately, Belarus elected Lukashenko. Probably the worst person that could probably lead Belarus. And Lukashenko did a lot of things. And that's because Lukashenko is extremely corrupt. And trying to remain free from Russia, they ended up electing a dictator, Lukashenko, considered to be the last dictator of Europe. Will be free election be available in the future? That's a good question. I don't usually like to talk about politics. I'm really hoping that's the case in Belarus, but with Lukashenko in power, that's a really difficult question. I'm hoping one day something happens, but I hope it's a peaceful transfer. One day, if he does get out of power, it better be peaceful, because the last thing we need is another war in Eastern Europe. A great question. So Belarus's culture is quite deep in culture, considering that Belarus has been around for well over 1,000 plus years. Like the area, Belarus Belarus has been very popular in terms of rock music during the Perestroika times. Also, additionally, Belarusian literature has been very deep as well, including the Cyril Turov, one of the great poets of the Belarusian era. And then, obviously, for sports, Belarus was Belarus didn't do super well in the Olympics. They won a total of 52 Olympic medals, 6 gold, 17 silver, and 29 bronze medals. Belarus doesn't have a great national football team, but the most popular sport is actually hockey, as the national hockey team is one of the top 15 in the world. As well. There is much tension. There is, very much so. I mean, it was already tension enough with Ukraine and Russia, and now Belarus and Poland. Yeah, that's already a lot of tension. I'm just very afraid that the power cable will go off. That's the last thing the region really, really needed. So, some more interesting things about Belarus is the cuisine. So, Belarus has predominantly a lot of Slavic roots, alongside influence from Ruthenians, and linked with Polish and Lithuanian due to the intermingling. So, Belarusian meals consist of two dishes usually: soup and a main course. They often grew sour rye bread, and then obviously their most traditional hard drink vodka is local vodka or harvika, and that's usually distilled from rye malt. Like other Slavic people, there's lots of different types of blini, which is pancakes with various different thickness, and it's usually plain or filled. The main vegetable that's grown here is cabbage, and that's often turned to sauerkraut. Beets, while turnips, sweet, parsnips, and carrots can be stewed and broiled, are somewhat less popular. Now, soups have actually been around for Belarus for a long time. The old world for most traditional Belarusian soups was paluka, except where those were named after vegetables, the main ingredient. Kapusta is cabbage soup, baraki beet soup, grizyanka is sweet soup. For a typical soup, the main ingredients are fish or mushrooms during fast. Were first boiled with spices, cereals were boiled in the stock, and then flour was blended with water were added to the stock. So that's different. That's a typical paluka, traditional soup. They're also fond of borscht, which is a beet and cabbage soup. But I'll go more detail with cuisine once we get to Russia. Meat was often scarce for most people. but the most common was pork. They also made quite a few dairy products, including fresh white cheese, which is quark, and it's used both in cooking as a garnish. Their traditional hard drink is vodka or harlika, including varieties made of birch sap or flavored with forest herbs. Mead and similar alcoholic drinks were very common up to the 19th century. However, the traditional non-alcoholic drink of choice for locally is kvass, which is, though it's increasingly made with sugar and artificial flavoring, it's often made with rye malt and other natural flavorings. And then there's also compote, which is a non-alcoholic sweet beverage made of fresh or dried fruit boiled and then cooled. And then obviously potatoes were also extremely common in Belarus, so much so there's over 300 plus dishes made from potatoes. So yeah, definitely some very interesting. I think vodka is often potato based. Actually, yeah, vodka. I believe vodka is potato based. Actually, you could make vodka from all sorts of things. Traditionally, vodka is actually made from fermented cereal grains, but potatoes have been more recently used in recent times, and some modern brands use fruits, honey, or even maple sap. I'll talk more about vodka and all that when we go to Russia. Since most of the fight's gonna be in Russia, I'll talk more about that if you don't mind. What's my airspeed? Well, indicated I'm 103 knots, but on my nav map I'm indicating at 121 knots. But my true airspeed is 120 knots. That's my airspeed. Mm-hmm. This one's gonna be a long one, so I'm gonna play some music then. let's get this views out here. Let's go ahead into the cockpit. What a nice day here. Finally, some clear skies in Belarus. Finally, we get some clear skies. We can see the terrain finally. They finally cleared this up. What a great view here, guys. That looks absolutely incredible. Let me see Splasher 6, Martel 738, Lord Drix, friends to all. Nice to see everyone here. Oh! Oh, NG Honda Jet. Wait, they actually made the Honda Jets? On the Discord channel? Yeah, you can issue those. I got it now, friend all. So this is the Honda Jet they've been working on. I've already joined it, friend all. No, I'm good. I already got it. So I hope you guys have had a great weekend so far. I'm having a pretty enjoyable weekend. Um, I got everything ready to do some stuff. I'll be ready for next week's flight to Russia. So I'm very excited to actually be here. Yeah, there are other ones being developed. The PC-6, Series Vision, and maybe the Yeah, there are other business jets. That was one of the other things the Sim didn't really have a lot of his business jets. But I'm not really a business jet person or an airliner. I'm more of a GA person. Yeah, how did you expect to be freeware? Oh, that's nice. So after I get done with the stream, I may play offline, off stream. I may play Back for Blood offline such. So I'll be doing some of that recently, and probably planned for Wednesday's flight with a Kodiak. I'm probably thinking about getting the missionary bush pilot livery and then do some bush flying around Papua New Guinea. I haven't done any of that flights yet, which I think would be really cool. And do something a la missionary bush pilot. To me, light jets are the pinnacle of GA. Yeah, I mean, definitely. For general aviation purposes, they are the pinnacle of GA in terms of technology and such. Mm-hmm. Are you going to max continuous speed in the Junkers? Um, are you going? No, I'm keeping it relatively slow because I could increase the speed, but no. In the Kodiak, yeah, I'm gonna do Wednesday's part of the. I'm gonna increase the. I'm gonna increase my speed a little. Drop it 2 stitch flaps. I'm gonna increase my speed a little bit. I'm gonna increase my speed a little, just so I can get a little faster. But I will increase my speed a little, just so I can get there a little faster. However, nothing can match the personality of specific aircraft. The PC-6, the Spitfire, Junkers, Kodiak, yeah. Those are all great aircraft. They had tons of personality. Junkers, I mean, you got the German tri-motor, such. The Spitfire. Flying Iron have done an amazing... They continue to be doing an amazing job with their Spitfire. Their Spitfire is so good. And now the newest update for the Spitfire from Flying Iron, this thing now has autopilots. You can actually set an autopilot with this thing. The PC-6 Milviz is really good. I don't have the Milviz PC-6, but I heard it's an excellent plane. Now that I think about it, everyone has a favorite non-generic DC. Oh yeah, DC-6. I mean, PMDG, when they came out with that DC-6, they just completely raised the bar. When they came out, the detail on the DC-6 is ungodly amount of detail compared to everything else. It's insane. But it also helps that that flight engineer is there for the sim, and that was a really, really necessary thing for the sim, especially with all the newer people coming to the sim. Yeah, I just wondered because you suggested the plane for 120 to 125. I first feared I could not keep up. Yeah, the reason I picked that is because the Junkers, I try to keep up to 120 to 135 knots because a plane because I'm usually going between those speeds. Any plane that can keep up with, that can do 120 to 135 knots means I'm not going to go super fast, but this will allow me to keep me up through the whole journey without being too quick. I'm just going to taper back the speed a little. So we're around 60 miles from, that's the only thing about the DC-6. All the airports start to look lackluster. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, PMDG just nailed it with the DC-6. Like, once I got into DC-6, I knew how good this plane was, but I never knew how good it was from it. Amazing bird. I took it for my last stream on the baseball series to their great plane. I know. That's why I don't fly the DC-6 very much, for that reason. So that way I give other planes the love that they deserve. Because there's plenty of planes that I think are amazing for the flight. And I believe that when they come out with the 737, it's going to completely change the airliner game, because once PMDG comes out with their 737, it's going to completely change. It's going to make all those other previous jetliners, like the cabin sim stuff, look terrible in comparison. They make them look like freeware once that 737 comes out. That's very true. MSFS is easy to make lousy models. The Kodiak compared to the DC-6. Yeah, the Kodiak is like the Kodiak's gonna be the GA standard for all the stuff. And I believe when the 737 is gonna come out, like I said, it's gonna make the other airliners look like freeware. Yeah, in weather, give yourself a tailwind, but remember to take it off before landing and changing lanes. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, friends all. So, we're about 60 miles away from Smolensk, so I'm going to go ahead and do the last slideshow for today. So this is Smolensk. This is the largest city in the Smolensk Oblast. It's around 220 miles southwest of Moscow. Now, Smolensk is very well known for its walled city, for having a lot of the walls. And these walls were destroyed several times throughout its long history due to various invasions. And here are some, if not limited to, quite a few others. They include the Mongols during that time. The Mongol Empire invaded there. Polish-Lithuania invaded there. The Tsardom of Russia. The First French Empire and Nazi Germany have all invaded the territory during that time. Now, Smolensk is known for its electronics, textiles, food processing, and diamond faceting industries. Now, this city was first established all the way back in 866 AD, and is among the oldest cities in all of Russia. The first recording was 863 AD, 2 years after the founding of the Kievan Rus, according to the Russian Primary Chronicle. Smolensk was located in the area settled by the East Slavic Ryax tribe in 1882, when the Oleg of Novgorod took it in passing from Novgorod to Kiev. Over the past couple centuries, it became one of the key areas in the Kievan Rus and by the end of the 12th century, the princedom is one of the strongest in all of Europe. And that was until the Mongol armies nearly destroyed the entire city. And then Smolensk became a pawn in the struggle between Lithuania and Grand Duchy of Moscow. The Grand Duchy of Moscow in particular was the one that united Russia. And during that time, Smolensk was also one of the largest cities in the entire Grand Duchy of Lithuania during that time. However, in order to protect the city from future Polish-Lithuanian attacks after Russia took it back in 1514, Boris Godunov, who was the Tsar of Russia during that time, he heavily fortified the city by building a stone Kremlin known as the Smolensk Kremlin, which is basically a fortress, and it's the largest of all of Russia. However, it did not prevent the fortress from being retaken by the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in 1611. And now in modern history, Smolensk was a very special place because one of those is the famous local cathedral. And by the way, I'll show you pictures of that pretty soon as well. And Smolensk, for its modern history, was a very important economic base as well for industry. So, some Smolensk landmarks include the Kremlin, obviously, the fortress I just mentioned, the Cathedral of the Assumption, which is in this picture, and the Eagles Monument. The Eagles Monument, in particular, was commemorating the Russian victory over Napoleon in the Battle of Smolensk during the Napoleonic Wars. As the French and the Russians fought in the Battle of Smolensk, it was one of the largest armies ever assembled. 45,000 French took on um, 30,000 Russians, and it was a massive battle. It was one of the bloodiest battles of the entire Napoleonic Wars. Now, some notable people include Edward Kiel. Now, Edward Kiel was a very well known Soviet performer back in the day. However, what a lot of people know him nowadays is for his infamous video meme called "Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la." Yeah, that's the person who actually did that internet meme back in 2010 and such. Pretty funny. And then the next person I want to talk about is Yugi Gagarin, one of the most well-known astronauts in history. In fact, he was the first man to actually be in space. He was born just outside Smolensk, and he became one of the great heroes of the Soviet Union during the 50s and 60s. So yeah, that's Yugi Gagarin. And finally, Maria Itinica. She was a multi-time Olympic champion. She set many different Olympic records during her time and became one of the more successful athletes during the Soviets during that time. So that is Smolensk for you. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Trollololo. Yes, that's him. So yeah, that's him. That's basically pretty much. So we're now cruising at 127 knots, our true airspeed. So we're around 60 nautical miles from the airport. So 60 nautical miles away from the airport. So we're doing quite well, guys. Currently I've been on for 3 hours and 20 minutes. This is the long. I think this is one of the new records for my streams. So basically a bit about that cathedral we saw in the book. So the Dormiton Cathedral Smolensk. This church has been around for 800 years as an Eastern Orthodox church. This church, the first brick church in that spot, happened in 1101. It was finally consecrated in 1150. In the course of the next 500 years, it survived numerous wars and fires, especially during the Great Siege of Smolensk during the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. According to local legend, the remainers of the defenders of the city locked themselves in the cathedral and set the gunfire to the gunpowder to the ammo depot in the basement. The explosion caused the roof to collapse, killing all the people inside, who preferred death to being taken prisoner by the Poles. It isn't clear what really happened, except the ammunition department did explode. However, the old cathedral did survive the explosion. And in 1627, where they prevented this church from being turned into a Roman Catholic church. After Smolensk was recaptured by the Tsars, they rebuilt this church back to its modern glory until it was demolished in 1674. However, then they built a new cathedral, and this is still the cathedral still to this day. Was built in 1772. It has a lot of unique things about it, including the inostasis that separate the altar of the church, where it was covered in gold decorations and such. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me go ahead and Let me go ahead and pull that information about the church. I've seen this green color in the older buildings. It looks unusual. It does. Now, let me show you the slideshow. So this is the interior of the church I was mentioning about, the old Orthodox church. Here it is. This is the interior of the church. This one is the cathedral shrine of Theotos of Smolensk. He was one of the patriarchs from there. One of the most, according to local legend during the new church, when Napoleon Bonaparte entered the cathedral, he looked up to the altar and wall and proclaimed that if any one of his soldiers dared to steal anything from it, he would actually kill people, kill anyone that took it. And during World War II, it suffered enormous damage from the Second World War. When the miraculous icon of the 11th century was perished in the Great Fire, and apparently they now revived it back, and thankfully they brought it back and restored it. So definitely a very historic building. It is definitely the main icon, and it's definitely the icon of Smolensk. But that's not the only thing Smolensk is known for. Also, Smolensk is also another thing that Smolensk was also known for was one of the worst events that happened in aviation history. The Smolensk air disaster that happened in April 10th, 2010. And it happened when a Tupolev Tu-154 aircraft crashed right next to the city of Smolensk, and it killed all 96 people on board. And among the victims include the president of Poland at the time, Lech Kaczynski, his wife Maria, the former president of Poland in exile, Ryszard Kaczorowski, the chief of Polish General Staff and other senior Polish military officers, the president of the National Bank of Poland, Polish government officials, 18 members of the Polish Parliament, and more died. And it also includes senior members and relatives of the victims of the Katyn massacre. All were killed in that crash. And the group was arriving from Warsaw to attend an event commemorating the massacre. And it happened when pilots were attempting to land at the airport, in the middle of thick fog with incredibly low visibility. The aircraft descended far below the normal approach plan until it struck trees, rolled inverted, and crashed onto the ground. And it killed all 96 occupants, dead. Apparently, both Russia and Polish official organizations found no faults with the plane, and apparently they said that the crew failed to approach in a safe manner. And apparently there have been some conspiracy theories with it, but we haven't found anything yet. So, but it's a really tragic incident that happened outside of Smolensk. Yeah, this does look very impressive. Yep. That's correct, Martel. The cathedral was really nice. But I did talk about what happened with the Smolensk air disaster. Quite a messy one. say for the least. Dinner's ready. I'll be back shortly and put my trust in the autopilot. No worries there, Martel. Hope you enjoy your dinner. Let's go play some music. So, let's bring back our nav map. So, in our nav map, we should be around 40 nautical miles away from completing our flight here to Smolensk. So we should be 40 nautical miles away. We're going to land here at X-Ray Uniform Bravo Sierra on runway 08. We're going to land straight in, and that would be the end of the flight. A bit of a longer one than today. I'm gonna be back. I'm probably gonna take a quick bob break for a bit. So I'll be back in a little bit. All right, I'm back. What a nice day here, guys, in Belarus. We're getting very... Welcome to Mother Russia, everyone, on a beautiful day. Our fuel is looking good, 45%. We should have enough fuel here to land at the airport. Just enjoying the nice peaceful flight here today. We should be approaching here pretty quickly. We're around 20 miles away from the airport now. So we're getting this pretty quick. So we're almost there. We're just going to continue to keep flying. 15. So now we're almost there basically. We're actually very close to it now. We're about 10 nautical miles away from the airport. So I'm going to go ahead and actually disable the autopilot, guys. Time to turn off the autopilot. Let's finish this off on a good note. So we're about ready to... And I think I found our airport, guys. Right here. Everyone, we found the airport right here. Welcome to Smolensk, everyone. We finally are here. Nearly 3 hours and 50 minutes of stream time. So wow, what a great stream, everyone. 2 raids today. I really want to thank everyone for being here today on the stream. So many awesome people. Thank you for everything. We're about to land at this airport. Thankfully, unlike the Duval airport, this should be much more manageable to land. we're going to go ahead and land at this airport straight ahead. Over to our right is the town of Smolensk. So we're going to get ready to land the Junkers. We got this, guys. Here we go. This should be smooth landing. And that was smooth. Put the brake. And that's going to be the landing. And the Junkers is down. Welcome to Smolensk Airport, everyone. X-ray uniform Bravo Sierra. Let's go ahead and get this thing parked. Parking brake on, and that is going to complete the flight. Wow. That took me around 3 minutes and 40 minutes. 3 hours and 40 minutes of flying time in the Junkers G52. Now we're going to wait for everyone else to get down. Deploy a bit of rock. There's Floydrix. Martel is way above. We're going to get for everyone to get down. Martel, you're above us now. You're going to fly over the airport. There's Floydrix in what looks like a Belarus PC-6. Nicely done. And here's Splasher 6. And then there's Martel, who... There's Martel, he's way above us. Should I remind Martel that he's going to fly past the airport? By that direction, Martel's probably flying all the way to Baransk. Here's Splasher 6. You're... And here is Splasher 6. What did he bring for today? I think Martel, since he's still having dinner, I'm probably going to have to do this lane without him. And there's Splasher. Let's see if he gets the landing. By the way, Splasher, what plane did you take for today? You're showing it was a Bonanza. Oh, bounce. Bounce. Nicely done. So this will conclude today's journey. Thank you everyone so much on this incredible journey. Let me go ahead and take the picture for the Discord. For my Discord. We now made it safely here at so oh, you're in the Electra. That Electra's a good choice. So I wanted to thank everyone here for this amazing trip. We're gonna go ahead and rebeam it today. Today is her birthday, mind you. Let's give her a really nice birthday gift, shall we? So I hope everyone is gonna have a great rest of the day. Thank you everyone for being here today. And I really do hope we get to see you all soon. Have a fantastic rest of the weekend.